Well, it is true that when one domino falls, others quickly follow, and it becomes really quickly an avalanche that's growing more and more and more and more and more. And I think we're seeing that right now in the gaming industry. We had one company being partially bought off, we had several studios closed, and now we have an entire part, if I may say, of the industry being bought for what is in my opinion, pocket change. Greetings, ladies and gents, my name is Helzo, the bearded Balkan blabbermouth, and I am discussing. Today we are going to talk about something that I missed because I was kinda sick in the past few days, but it's very important to see because it is a fundamental change, and it also needs to be pointed out that we need to kinda get in line as gamers and as everyone as to what such a change might mean and what to be on the lookout when such change happens. I'm talking, of course, about EA being sold out completely to a Saudi Arabia prince and a private investment fund who apparently is also a gamer and is also backed up by several other companies. This is from That Park Place, who have once again done an amazing job in combining every piece of information into a good article. EA Games sold for $55 billion to a consortium led by Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. Electronic Arts, better known as EA, has announced it will be sold for an eye-popping $55 billion in a private buyout led by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia alongside Silver Lake and Jared Kushner's affinity partners. It is important to say that the last will be around 5% of ownership. Once the deal closes, EA will no longer be a publicly traded company, and the move is already being called one of the biggest private equity acquisitions in history. So earlier this year we had pretty much Tencent buying what is considered a quarter of Ubisoft as a whole. And now we have a Saudi Arabia prince and a public investment fund basically buying EA, which, no matter what your thoughts are on them, they're one of the biggest video game industry giants out there. They have had so many companies under them, so many studios, so many games that have come out in basically forever. They've had franchises that span decades and basically pump out a game every year. We have had massive, amazing genres and amazing trilogies like Mass Effect, amazing games like some of the Dragon Age games. We had a lot of good things coming out from EA, and we also have a lot of absolute and utter stinking, unfiltered shit coming out of them. And I'm of course talking about Dragon Age Vanguard, which basically ruined the studio, and which is probably one of the major reasons that EA is selling at this point. The deal values EA at $210 per share and is expected to close in fiscal quarter 1 of 2027, pending regulatory approval. EA CEO Andrew Wilson is expected to remain in charge, and the company's headquarters will stay in Redwood City, California, but the financial details are only half the story. And then we get to the juicy part, a clash of cultures. For years, EA has leaned heavily into DEI messaging both in its games and in its public branding, from introducing controversial character options to inserting progressive social politics into blockbuster franchises, and the company has often been at the forefront of the industry culture wars. This is probably, again, one of the biggest reasons that they're selling, because we have seen for a couple of years now a definitive seen what happened to a lot of other games. We see it happen with movies, with everything, and we will continue to see it because a lot of the companies will refuse up until the very end to change. EA is one of them. They have lost a lot of credibility, a lot of money, and they pretty much lost all but a slimmer of respect, because there's some people, me included, that were kind of hopeful for Mass Effect 5 or 4, depending on how you want to call it. The thing is that EA has become a giant of uncertainty. They're still big, they're an absolute huge company, they have a lot of offices, a lot of franchises, but their respect from the gamers is no more. And it was very logical, actually, if you think about it, to see something like this happen. Maybe it wasn't supposed to happen to the whole company, but at least a part of it, at least from their most prominent project, they needed to be reevaluated and probably given to someone that had a little bit more sense. And has that happened now when the whole company is sold? It remains to be seen, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit. Now, the company is being taken over by a sovereign wealth fund tied to a country that criminalizes same-sex relationship and gender nonconformity. In Saudi Arabia, same-sex relations can carry prison terms, public floggings, and even capital punishment under strict interpretation of Sharia law. The very policies EA championed in Western markets could not even legally exist in the home country of its new financial backer. This is not just ironic, it's a direct contradiction. Now, that's something that I would like to talk about, and I actually probably am going to spend the rest of the video talking about it. We don't care, you know? We don't care. We don't care who owns a game company. We don't care who this person is. We don't really care what their political views are or their gender views are or whatever. We shouldn't care is probably the more accurate thing to say. We shouldn't care, because if you run a gaming company well, those things are irrelevant, because a gaming company having profit, having a successful gaming company is relatively easy on a theoretical standpoint, because you only need to do one thing to be a successful gaming company: give something that is interesting to gamers. This is it. That's it. You don't need anything else. So you may be a trans person that is identifying as a horse or something like that. You may identify as a duck. You may identify as tree binary. You may identify as a Christian. You may be a Muslim. You may be a Zionist. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If your heart, if your focus is on running a company that has great games, that has the focus and the point towards satisfying a global market of ever expanding numbers of gamers, then nobody will care what your personal beliefs are. You can go and get flogged or get into a BDSM dungeon every night after our work in the office. We don't care. We want good games. That is what you should care about. That's what every owner of a game studio, of a conglomerate, of whatever you want to call it, should care about. And if you do, we don't care which country you're from. We don't care what the laws in your country are, as long as you don't impose those cultural things on us. We want good games that we used to have, and we used to have them in droves. We used to have them every single year, and we need to have them again. We don't want political messaging. We don't want cultural messaging. We will boycott any extremism, not only from the left, but also from other groups of people. We will not stand for being taught what is right and what is wrong by people that have a specific point of view. We just want to have an escapism. We want to go away from this world when we play a video game. And I don't know how many times in how many videos I have said this, but this is what is currently almost entirely lost. Up until this year, when we had a lot of games that kind of rediscovered that and probably are very good at teaching big companies at how to rediscover that for themselves. We only want good games. I don't personally care if a Saudi prince or if an Irish pub owner or if a liberal person owns a video game company, as long as they just come and say, look, I'm not gonna tell you what you want. I'm not gonna tell you what you should believe. I'm not gonna tell you what is right or wrong. I just have this cool shooting or RPG game with a cool story, with cool characters, which I know that you're gonna like. And because I am with the mindset that you are going to like this, and I want you to like this, I will make it sure that I do the best that you like this game. That's it. That is the whole picture. And that is why I think that, first of all, this acquisition to me is not such a big deal. It was logical. It was logical because of the failings that EA has had in the last several years. It is logical that someone would want to basically get their hands on such a big company with so many connections and so much reach, and which will have a lot of future profit. And if those people that got it do have gamers in their mind and gamer satisfaction, they will have so much profit. They're not gonna be able to count it all, because EA is a huge company, ladies and gents. It is a huge company, but it just hasn't been doing so well in terms of all these produces. And if that changes with that reach, you're probably going to have an absolute giant that is pumping out great game after great game after great game from all of its franchises. We might do that. We might have that. I do hope we have that. Or we might have some new extremist group from other sides, and they just try to use their influence to do the same thing that their predecessors were doing. It's the same thing, and it only remains to be seen. But anyways, this is pretty much what I wanted to talk about on this video, and the article in that Park Place did help me, because it is about DEI, it is about the narrative pushing and stuff like that, and everybody is asking, are they going to walk back on it? Are they going to now go the other direction hard? Are they going to be based? Nobody knows. But if they go with the direction of gamer satisfaction, they're gonna be alright. And I think that this will turn out to be a very good and healthy thing for EA and for gamers and for the gaming community. But anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. This is all I have to say on this matter. If you have something that you want to comment and discuss, please write in the comments down in the description below. If you enjoy my content, please press the like and subscribe button. If you want to help the channel grow directly and support homeless animals and animals in shelters, do click the join button and support them as well by becoming a member. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Hiozo, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers and stay fresh.